Hey guys, welcome back to Dogforge. My name's Paul, and today we'll be continuing our look at the Spelljammer races with the Hadozee. So let's climb up a tree and glide into taking a look at these monkey folk. That was a bad intro pun, but I'm rolling with it. Okay, so interesting artwork, and you can see the kind of skin flaps they get to do that gliding. I am not a fan of this. The gliding I'm a fan of, that's fine. It looks extremely impractical for a race that wears clothing. It kind of makes you think that everything they wear has a zipper that you can just lay it on top of you and then zip it around you. I wish it was more of a Spider-Man-esque kind of under the arms gliding flap kind of deal, but I can see the appeal of this. Or if they had done it more like Momo from Avatar, I think that would also work. But as we can see here, the skin flaps not only on display, we can also see that the fruit being picked up with the foot, giving us kind of an ion flux kind of vibe, and it makes you wonder: can you shoot guns with those feet? Let's find out. Diving on into the lore of the race, the first Hadozees were timid mammals no bigger than house cats. Hunted by larger natural predators, they took to the trees and evolved wing-like flaps that enabled them to glide from branch to branch. Several hundred years ago, a wizard visited Yazia, the Hadozee homeworld, with a small fleet of spelljamming ships. Under the wizard's direction, apprentices laid magic traps and captured dozens of Hadozees. The wizard fed the captains and an experimental elixir that enlarged them and turned them into sapient bipedal beings. The elixir had the side effect of intensifying the Hadozee's panic response, making them more resilient when harmed. The wizard's plan was to create an army of enhanced Hadozee warriors for sale to the highest bidder, but instead the wizard's apprentices grew fond of the Hadozees and helped them escape. The apprentices and the Hadozees were forced to kill the wizard, after which they fled, taking with them all of the remaining vials of the wizard's experimental elixir. With the help of their liberators, the Hadozees returned to their homeworld and used the elixir to create more of their kind, and in time all Hadozee newborns came to possess the traits of the enhanced Hadozees. Then, centuries ago, the Hadozees took to the star, leaving Yazia's fearsome predators behind. In addition to being natural climbers, Hadozees have feet that are as dexterous as their hands, even to the extent of having opposable thumbs. Membranes of skin hang loosely from their arms and legs, and when stretched taut, these membranes enable the Hadozee to glide. Hadozees wrap these wings around themselves to keep warm. First of all, it feels much more natural for the plural of Hadozee to be Hadozee, like sheep. That just feels like it would be better. And how do we explain this weird, gliding monkey folk that has a damage reduction ability? Sounds like a wizard did it. Well, if in doubt, a wizard did it. Coming on down to the crunch, and the ASI is going to be the same boilerplate that we're going to get from now on, +2 and a +1 of your choice, or 3 +1s of your choice. And for languages, you're going to get common and one other language you and your DM agree is appropriate for your character and the campaign. Moving on down to Hadozee traits, you are a humanoid and you are either medium or small. You can choose your size when you select the race. You gain a walking and climbing speed of 30 feet. Climbing speed equals your walking speed, so if you increase one, the other increases. Practically speaking, this doesn't really matter. As most things just improve your speed, not specifically your walking speed. But it's a nice little addition, I guess. Dextrous Feet. As a bonus action, you can use your feet to manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, or pick up or set down a tiny object. So, there's nothing in the Dextrous Feet thing that says that you can actually just use them as hands, provided that you don't need them to walk at the time being. Like, you can't, but just by how this is written, you can't just hang from a tree branch per se with your hands and use your guns on some flintlocks. There's nothing saying that your DM won't allow you to do that, or that you couldn't hang by your feet and then use your actual hands. I would have preferred if this was more impactful. It's a bit of a ribbon, I guess. It kind of feels a little bit like the Thief Rogue a little bit. You could maybe, you know, start using your Feet as a bonus action to throw down some caltrops and whatnot. But this is the beginning of feeling that this is a bit lackluster. Glide has been going around on YouTube already as being a little bit hilarious for the shenanigans you can get down. So when you're not incapacitated or wearing heavy armor, you can extend your skin membranes and glide. When you do so, you can perform the following aerial maneuvers. You can move up to 5 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend in the air at no movement cost to you. Granted that a lot of people on VTTs and just in general work in 5-foot increments, because that's how the game realistically works. That means that if you were to just jump down 1 square's worth, you'd be able to actually move 25 feet. Is that math? Yeah, we'll say that's math. 20 feet. 25 feet. You know, it's been a long day. But the clear implication here is that the higher up you fall, the further you can travel, and it specifies there's no movement cost to you. So you can cover obscene distances on your turn just by being high up. Now, the built-in way to do this is to just climb something with your movement speed, and if that was how you were limited to using this, great. Realistically, in a game there's going to be terrain that you can actually take advantage of. If you were to jump off a cliff, you could cover literal miles, depending how high up you were. If you start throwing in class abilities and spells, this gets even crazier. So, first of all, this is the best implication of jump I think I've ever seen. If somebody casts jump on you and then you just have a decent strength score, you can actually use jump like a poor man's fly, which is kind of hilarious. And on top of that, you can use things like Dimension Door to just go straight up 500 feet and then like 2,500 feet out. That's kind of crazy. Now, the implication here is that gliding does not neutralize the effect of you hitting the floor. I think that's very clear because the other bullet point you get in glide is that when you would take damage from a fall, you can use your reaction to reduce it to 0. If gliding actually prevented you taking fall damage, I don't think this would need to exist. So I think the implication here is that you still need to use your reaction to 0 the fall damage, which limits to some extent being able to go up and then across multiple times in your turn. So you couldn't use your movement to jump up and then glide across, and then use your action to teleport up and then across, and then depending on where you're grabbing your things from, maybe even your bonus action to jump, teleport up and across. Unless you have a large amount of hit points to take the fall damage. Glide is fun. I think some DMs are going to find players trying to glide all of the time and causing all kinds of shenanigans. The most useful part of this, realistically, in my opinion, is being able to reduce fall damage to 0 and being able to position yourself wherever you want when you fall. I think that's the strongest application for this, rather than, I don't think traveling in that way is particularly practical. And the Herdosi Resilience, which is, it's weird. This is really the central feature for the Hadozee, and it's that when you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d6, and you reduce the damage by the d6 plus your proficiency modifier. You can do that to a minimum of 0 damage, so you can completely negate damage, and you can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. This is like a weaker version of the Goliath's ability, except the Goliath's also got cold resistance and Little Giant on top of that, whereas they just get a weaker version, glide, dexterous feet, and climb speed. And I'm left feeling that the Hadozee are really a kind of disjointed race. I don't feel that this is quite enough for them. I would have liked to have seen perhaps more mechanical power in Dextrous Feet, or just something else here. You could have even inserted like a bite attack. Monkeys in the real world have quite large canines and can have a really like powerful bite. That would have made sense. Do they even reflect that in the art? Like, yeah, you can clearly see like pronounced teeth compared to some other races. Like, that would have made sense. This just doesn't feel like enough, and I think this is also really lackluster. A d6 plus your proficiency bonus in tier 1, so levels 1 to 4, is going to be an average of 5.5 damage reduced. Starting off, you're fighting goblins, kobolds, all these low damage monsters, that's fine. But as you start advancing in level, the damage that you take is going to very quickly outpace your ability to reduce it. And you don't have to reduce damage to 0 all the time, but when the only meaningful scaling of an ability is proficiency bonus, then you're going to find yourself not really keeping up in any proportionate way with the damage you're taking as you gain levels. So I would have preferred that they just have a sentence in here that when you hit X level, maybe it becomes, it goes from a D6 to a D8 or a D10 or double your proficiency bonus. Some kind of actual damage scaling that isn't just +1 every several levels would have made this far more worthwhile. And it doesn't really make sense. Apes can be very, and monkeys in general, can be very resilient creatures, but damage reduction is not an ability that stands out when you think about monkey folk. Climbing, maybe jumping, swinging, being strong, like there's no real reference here to like monkeys and apes having a much higher strength than humans. That would have been nice to see here. Like, being able to reduce damage just feels a little random. And they've kind of tried to work around that in the lore by saying they grew up on a planet of predators and the elixir just enhanced their panic response. But that is flimsy. It's basically just saying a wizard did it, don't think about it. Which is fine, I guess. I just wish this made more sense and was more impactful. Overall, I think this is a fun race. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun, particularly picking stuff up with their feet, which is going to gross out other people. I have no doubt that will pop up at a table sometime. But I just think that there could be a little bit more here. It could make a little bit more sense. I don't dislike it. I just think that the Hadozee could have deserved better. I also think the plural of Hadozee should be Hadozee. Let us know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you like the art? Do you like how the flaps are always out there like that? Do you think the plural of Hadozee should be Hadozee? Let us know down below. Whilst you're down there, like that video if you liked it. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe notification bell. It really does help us out and helps you know when we post more videos. Until next time, I've been Paul and I will see you at the Forge.